Hey, welcome to our first episode of 2021. This is Hard to Guard TV with Edgar Burgos, and I want to introduce somebody who I've looked up to for the last couple of years. He's a grinder. He's a hustler. He's all energy. And my man, Joe Cruz Jr., founder of Yave Tequila. What's up, Joe?
Pleasure, bro, man. Great way to start the year, man. I love this, man. Appreciate you having me on, and thanks for the kind words.
I always said we tried to do it last time on Instagram Live, but this is, I think, a way better platform.
Yeah. Now Yava is better than it was before, so now it's a better place for us to speak. So it worked out much better, also.
So we'll start it back. We'll take it back. Harlem bred, Harlem born, from Harlem, Bronx, all the way uptown, and always been in the industry for 25 plus years. Then you decided, 3.5 years ago, right? 4 years ago?
Damn, longer. The exact date was August 26, 2015, 7:30 in the morning.
To start your own brand.
Yeah, I mean, I was building brands for the big dogs for years, so it was just time to do something to create my own legacy. I mean, I'm a single dad from Spanish Harlem, as you said. Growing up, all we had was rappers and ballers to look up to. We didn't have real business people. We had celebrities, we had this and that, but we didn't have like doctors in our neighborhoods. We didn't have many teachers, and we sure as hell didn't have liquor brand owners. So it was time for me to take everything I learned throughout the years and just take it to the next level. I mean, it was a logical step for me.
So how did you get into the spirits and wine industry?
Well, my entire family's been in liquor. People don't know this background about me. My dad was one of the top salesmen of Ciroc, which, of course, Nick Storm, one of your boys. I mean, I know him from that, of course. My godfather was running Jack Daniels. My uncle was one of the top Hennessy salesmen. My good friend's father built Bacardi throughout the country. So I've always been around liquor in some capacity. I learned a lot through osmosis. I wasn't a drinker. I didn't drink till my mid-20s. So people need to know that right away. I'm deep in the liquor game, but I didn't drink until about, 10 years into the game, as funny as it sounds. But I worked in liquor stores. I own liquor stores. I worked in distributors. I ran certain parts of distributors. I worked in suppliers, and I ran the country for a supplier. So I got to learn the game through the 3 tiers. Those are the 3 tiers I mentioned, which are supply, distribution, retail. I worked all 3, and I worked my way up. So I'm starting to hear how I describe it, but I had to start from the bottom and build. And you just kept learning what the game was about. I learned the ins and outs. I learned logistics. I learned how products are created. I learned the marketing. And most importantly, I learned why most brands failed, which I'm a liquor nerd. So I don't care what LeBron scored last night. I don't care who won the championship in the NBA. It means nothing to me. To me, it's all about what brands succeeded, what brands failed, and why they succeeded and why they failed. So that's pretty much how I got to where I am. So many years. Yeah.
So it was like school. So who was like during that time? Can you talk about, obviously you said your dad was in the industry. How much influence and how much teaching did he do while you was, getting into the game?
Well, my dad kind of forced me into the liquor world because it was my first career. I said, you know what, I'll try it. It's distribution. It's really good money. I got a company car. So when you're a kid from the hood, that's balling. I said, oh, man, I don't got to pay for the car. Like, I'm winning. And my dad was deep in the liquor game in the capacity that behind the scenes in hip hop, everyone doing parties, my dad was supplying the liquor for them. Whether it was sponsorships, whether he hooked them up with liquor stores to pay cheaper, he was big on that. So I got to see that happen. And Fat Joe actually did a lot of events, and they would call my dad Liquor Joe. So I grew up with Big Pun. I grew up with like DMX. A lot of them dudes, just seeing them like through the parties. But when it came to the actual sponsorships and brands, they didn't know how to go about it. Like, who do you call? How do you reach out to a Diageo or Bacardi or a big company? They don't know how to do it, even though they're celebrities. My dad was that intermediary, and he started having all these major brands sponsored things in the urban market, pretty much. Like, they didn't even know what urban was. They didn't know how the hood worked. They didn't have to do anything. They just had to give him a check, give him the product, and he made everything happen. So the way I saw it was, if I'm from the hood, born and raised, I know the game. I learned from both sides. And as you know, the urban market runs everything in some capacity. Urban runs the world. We've got the swag, the personality. We have everything you need. But most of those brands pay millions to walk into our market. So the way I look, the quick way I'll describe it to you, I look at the urban market like an island, pretty much. It's a huge island. It's Spanish, Black, all different kinds of Latinos, all different kinds of natives, all Indians, Asians, everything on this huge island. But it's a bridge to get to that island. And there's one lane. So when you control the island, what do you control? The toll to get onto the island. So if you're not from this island, this urban world, you have to pay a lot of money to get into it. I wake up in it every day. So I see what's happening. I know what's cool. I know what's popping and what's not. Other brands need to pay somebody else to do it, whereas I've learned the market from the inside out. So the other side of the market that was easiest just came naturally. So I got to put both worlds together. And I mean, that's why Yave was born.
Okay, so at what point, obviously, you're 15, 20 years in, you're making, I'm sure at that point, you're making real good money. You say, you know what? I want to go on my own, and I think I'm ready. When did you know you was ready? And when did you know you said you wanted to drift off and just do your own thing?
Well, for years, people were telling me you need to do your own brand. And I would tell them when I feel it, I'll do it. I'm not going to lie to myself. I'm not going to force myself into that situation. And like I said, August 26, 2015, 7:30 in the morning, I woke up and was like, I'm out. I reached out to people I was working with, consulting, and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And it was funny because at that moment, people offered me more money than I could ever imagine. And I went from company to company. They were interviewing me. They were reaching out to me saying, hey, man, like, you should come to us. We know what you've done. We know your history. Here's millions of dollars. Literally, I was getting $1 million contracts. And in my head, I'm like, now I'm going to be a millionaire overnight because I'm leaving. So this whole time, you guys knew my value, but nobody wanted to pay up. But the second I kind of said, oh, you know what, my heart's not in it, everybody would just offer me the world. And ironically, it upset me more than it made me happy. So put that battery in my back and say, you know what, if they're going to offer me millions, I'm gonna make myself worth billions. Because if they offer you that much, then you're really worth that much. And I don't think the average person understands that. People look at money like, I don't know, like, I want to say that it holds you back. It's like a prison. People say, hey, you're going to get $200,000 a year. The average person is going to go for it, even though they're worth $2 million a year or $20 million a year. I saw that. And from the second my heart told me it was time to go, nobody could tell me this wasn't going to work. I don't care who you were. If God himself came down and said, this might not work, I'm going to say, you might not know what you're talking about. You might have bigger problems than Yave right now. And I mean, like I said, the first 2 years were all about building the brand, laying the groundwork, creating a product itself. The next 2 years were building everything ourselves. People don't know that we sold everything out of my car, out of our book bags. It was my team, a team of misfits, as I call us.
So that's the best part, because I remember, I know one of the things, like, you used $25,000 of your own personal money to build this brand, and so you went all in.
Yeah, man, everything.
I was gonna say, what made you, like, was there nervous energy? Was there like, you know what, I'm just gonna do what I gotta do. I'm gonna make this happen.
Nah, I'll be honest. People always ask me, and not for 1 second that I doubted or didn't know, because another thing, I love giving the story because I want people to understand the grind, because we filmed everything from day one. So people don't know that, but I filmed every step of the process, from Mexico to my house to everything that I did. But when I stepped back and, I retired, I retired, quote unquote, and I said, I'm gonna do my own thing. I went back to basics. I went from running the country for another brand. I went back to work in a liquor store for a year. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to see what the consumer wanted. I want to see what's happening in liquor stores, back in the street level, like back to the streets pretty much. And I went back to my old distributor job. So at that point, I put, my pretty much the beginning of my career came back full circle. Went in a liquor store, worked in my distribution job, and I relearned, I rebooted my mind from the beginning to look at things differently. When I was a salesman as a kid, I didn't care. I just sold liquor. I met people. I had parties. I had fun. I did all kinds of things. This was different. So when I walked in with that mindset, I mean, I was ready when my heart told me to, but after that year of working those two jobs again, it was through the roof. Like, you could not tell me it wasn't going to work. And one of the CEOs of the biggest distributors in New York, he's the reason I went back to work in Empire Merchants with the company. I went back for 6 months. I told him to be here for 5-6 months only to learn. He was like, cool. So at the end of everything, I kind of presented everything to him. And I didn't have a name for the brand yet. Ironically, I had everything. And he said, and I'll never forget this moment, because it was like, I knew like the beast was like about to come out. He said, you work backwards better than anybody I've ever met. You had the entire plan laid out. You don't have the liquid yet. You don't have a name yet. And I was like, yeah, because there were other things that were missing that I needed to fix first. So when the time came, Yave was born, the bottle was created, etc. The knowledge that I had acquired in the past 20 years, but in that past year, because my mind was different, the mindset was different. It was like, imagine LeBron being his age now, going back in time, knowing everything he knows now, starting all over. It's like, how are you going to stop that? Like, that's how I feel about what we've done now. And I just kept building the team after that. And now we're here.
So now you have a team. I know, Paulie was one of your teams. Paulie was running all over the place. I remember, in 2017 when we first met, you did an event. I had an event at on the West Side, a man's panel discussion. That was the first time we connected, and you did everything that day. You poured the drinks, you brought everything, you made it happen. And I was like, man, this guy is, just talking to you, it was inspiring for me because you see this guy from Harlem who's been in the game and wants to do his own thing, and I saw it, and I saw that, but more than anything, I saw how genuine you was.
Appreciate that.
So how did you figure out, all right, this is growing, I need investors, and how did you connect with certain people to make your dream a little bit more to come true?
Well, I mean, again, from Harlem, you don't know a lot of people with money, with legal money. You know people with money, so you can't accept that money. I had people around me that would throw money, and I'm like, nah, I can't do it that way. But ironically, working in that liquor store in the distributor, because my mindset was different, I spoke to people differently. Every once in a while, I would meet someone that I could just click with. Right? I felt like they understand what I'm going to do. And I would just tell them the story. Hey, here's why I'm in the liquor store. Here's why I'm back at Empire, where most people thought that I had taken a step backward. I'll give you a story real quick, and then I'll talk about the team. I was working in Warehouse Wine and Spirits downtown Manhattan, there for about a year and 2 months. It was 14 months. And I see one of the big wigs from the companies. He comes in the store, and he's like, Joe Jr., what's up, man? How you been? I'm like, everything's good. And he's like, damn, man, last time I saw you run the country for this other brand. Now you're here. Like, times will be rough. And I have no ego. I don't care what people say. I don't care what you feel. I know what I'm doing. And I see the bigger picture. So when he said that, I was like, yeah, times are rough. I'm in a liquor store now. I said, is there a problem with that? He was like, no, I didn't mean to make you feel bad. I was, I'll get over it. Maybe I'll create my own brand one day. He has no idea. He has no idea that I'm already on the path. So now that Friday, my dad calls me because he worked in the same company. He's like, you know what this guy is saying about you? He said that you fell off. He said that you can't get back to the top, all these things. My dad was angry. My dad was born and raised in Harlem too. So you could imagine his anger when you're talking about his son. So I'm like, Dad, I need you to walk a journey with me. And I've always been good at calming my dad down. As angry as he gets, I've always been able to bring him down. I said, I need you to walk this journey. I said, this guy walks around the industry saying Joe Cruz Jr. fell off. He doesn't have it anymore. He doesn't have the magic. He doesn't have the juice, whatever he says. I don't really care. Now imagine in 3, 5, 7, 10 years, as I'm on the cover of magazines, my brand's being sold by major distributors. People are starting to hear the story. It's like, wow, he went from the top to the bottom, back to the top. It's the ultimate comeback story. It makes the urban legend bigger. So now let him talk more. Let him meet more people. And of course, the way the world works, 3 years later, I get to my major distributor and we're talking. And they were like, we heard a story of? And I was like, yeah, I know who told you. I know what day it happened. And they were like, wow. I said, I knew I'd be here. I wasn't worried about it. He just helped the urban legend because you just brought up in the meeting where I'm pitching you to carry my brand in the next couple of states. So it worked out perfectly. Told my dad he was happy. But in that time, I was meeting people in the liquor store and just telling them my journey. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm going to create. And people were intrigued by it because normally when you hear of a brand being started, it's by a huge company. And let's be very honest, most people that own those companies look the same. I'll just say that. So when you meet me, it's like Puerto Rican from Harlem. He speaks different, he acts different, but he knows the game. This is intriguing. So I didn't have the perfect plan in terms of, the way I set up my deck, all that stuff, the technical things. But I could sell you. I could tell you everything from my heart. And the more people I spoke to, people were just like, I'm in. And that first year was all my money. I was the only person that spent money for about 1.5 years. And the first person I invested money outside myself was Danny, D. Reyes. You know Danny.
Yeah, I know Danny.
Came to my house and he was like, you're really going for it. I said, I'm going all in. Nobody's going to stop me. And I didn't really talk about investing, to be honest. And he was like, dude, I want in.
Did you guys know each other prior?
Oh, man, I know Danny, 15, 20 years. I don't even know. Very long time. I met him a little after the whole Jersey 4 situation. Mm-hmm. We've been close ever since. And I'm such a workman, a workhorse, a workaholic, whatever you call me, that I don't get to enjoy the moments. I'm better now, but in the beginning I wasn't. It was just push, got to get it done. Danny came to my house, wrote me a check, and I was like, good, bro, we in it together. He left, and I usually my door open, and he walked back in and opened the door a crack, and he was like, we own a liquor brand, bro, and he shut the door. And I was like, that's kind of cool. Didn't even think about it, and I just kept going to work. And then I kept meeting people, and I went from meeting one guy who was investing, who's now my boy Scott, CFO, who's now running our money, he works for a hedge fund, became family, so he helps me run that. I met my boy Ben, who was asking me questions about logistics and how we do shipping. And I was like, I'm learning as I go. He came on and he's running that. I mean, Paul, you already know about. Paul has the most heart, most genuine guy in the world. Yep. He's down. And then it just kept becoming team. And it's Dan, my boy Bread, who designed the bottle with me. I mean, the bottle people love was designed by bartenders, the grip any way possible. It was designed by one of my best friends in Harlem, like another Harlem kid to help me with that.
How hard was it for you to delegate? Like, it's always hard especially for an entrepreneur to you want everyone to follow, your thoughts, your dreams, and not everyone has the same type of passion. But how hard, like a guy like Paul, who I know, a guy like Danny, I know, but how hard was it to you to hey, this is my dream, and they helped you build this, this company?
Well, it's funny you asked that because I recently did an interview with Forbes. And one of the questions asked me, what was the hardest thing to do? And I was like, delegation. Because you go from sitting on a sofa by yourself doing everything. I mean, I dealt with the U.S. government, the Mexican government. I dealt with the bottling plants. I was part of creating the liquid. So it was a lot. So as people came on, they came on because they saw the vision. I convinced them that this was going to be real. We're going to be successful. It's going to work. But then when you start passing things off to people, even though they're competent, because my team beyond proved it, you still want it done a certain way in your head because you believe whatever you think is right. Not because they're wrong, but you're like, it has to be done this way. And it won't work any other way. So the new team members were starting to teach me that there are other ways. There are other avenues. Same way people tell you, if you don't build on-premise, meaning bars and restaurants, you won't be successful. We built this during COVID off-premise. So I knew another channel. I knew ways to build it through the chains. But I would have to tell you that. If someone else says it, you go, oh my God, I'm going to fail. So when I would speak to these guys about how things should be done, I believe in intent and integrity. Have positive intent when you speak to someone. If you say you're going to do it. That's the integrity part. Trust and transparency. I mean, just be honest with one another and just tell the truth. Just say what you feel with positive intent and over communication. Mm-hmm. So I would tell people that, and everyone embodied that. They'd be like, let's just talk it out. I don't think I've ever gotten upset at anybody in this company during this process because I talk it out. I'm very direct. I'm very honest. I don't make people feel bad or feel stupid, and I expect the same to me. So in delegating, it was more of a discussion. Like, hey, we need to get this done. How are we going to do it? And I started getting better at that as opposed to saying, hey, we need to get this done. Do this, do that. Because I'm going to tell you how to do it. I can just do it myself. So when you bring people on to run certain parts or you trust people in certain avenues, certain lanes of the business, you have to fully trust them. It's not the easiest thing. It took me a while because this was my baby. But, I mean, it was the best decision I ever made because now I'm out there. I'm back to being a salesman. Take the founder out of your head. I'm a salesman at heart. So while I'm selling, my guys are running a company doing things behind the scenes while I'm just pushing and building on the front end. So delegation was the hardest part. So I'm glad you brought that up because without a team, I would have just been a dude with a dope dream. Wouldn't be as many cases behind me. Might be just a Blanco. It wouldn't be what it is. It just team. And to add to that, I'd be remiss without unleashing, without revealing my secret weapon. And you'll appreciate this because you know the game more than most people. Mm-hmm. We all know Diageo, biggest dairy company in the world. They own every brand people know. A couple years ago, I was on LinkedIn. I'm more on LinkedIn than Instagram because I'm a business guy. I have a lot of Instagram traction, but LinkedIn's my go-to. So a good friend of my dad who used to run Diageo in North America reaches out to me. Hey, I heard you're doing a brand. Congratulations on going after it. We never met. We knew of each other through my dad. So I knew he was a legend. He knew I was a young guy that was always pushing. He reaches out. We just start talking. He's like, hey, I'm coming to New York. Would you like to meet? I was like, I would love to pick your brain. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Give me the date. It was like a Tuesday or Wednesday. Stays in the hotel. He's like, meet me at 6:00. Got there like 5:30. He winds up coming down. He's like, what are you doing here so early? I was like, I'm never late. I don't play. And I said, I respect you. I know what you've done. So we go. He says, like, what everyone tells me, I don't drink tequila. And I'm like, cool. Like, I don't care. I made this for people who don't drink tequila. So we're talking, we're drinking. And in the midst of all that, he says, I'm not with Diageo anymore, right? I'm like, what? What do you mean? He's like, yeah, I decided to do something. I moved on, whatever. And I'm like, are you for real? Like, now we've been drinking. So I'm kind of like, is he messing with me? Is this like a test somehow in life? And he's like, yeah, like, I'm just trying to consult and help people. He's like, what do you need from me? And on the spot, I was like, I'm creating an advisory board. I need you to lead it. We didn't have an advisory board. I know what the hell I'm talking about. And he was like, I would love to help. We shook hands. We had no terms, nothing set. But the fact we shook hands, he knew that, I was going to be a man of my word. We negotiated a contract for like 6 months. And from the second we shook hands, he was helping the company build. And he's a legend. Like this guy, he's not cool. He's always going to say he's light action. He's not the biggest. When I say he knows people, I meet these owners of companies. They're like, I love your story, man. We connect very well. They talk to him. They're like, hey, remember that time we went golfing? Or thanks for hiring my son. And thanks for with the 1,000 cases. And I'm like,
this makes things happen.
He's who I want to be within the next 20 years so I can help other people. So he just took me to another level within a couple years. Like in a couple between working in that liquor store, meeting Joe Lahane, having him on the team, you talking about I advanced 10 to 15 years. And that's why we keep growing and growing and growing because of the team. Like it's like Golden State when they added Durant. That's how I felt. We had a squad, but then he came on and it was like, damn. And you're gonna help us win more? That's how I felt. Like it was pretty dope.
So I was gonna say, like, obviously the biggest thing in the past year, which is gonna be a year in March, happened. COVID. How did that affect your company?
Well, I mean, being from the hood, we know adversity. It was just different. It wasn't something new. It was a new kind of adversity. And it wasn't a New York problem. It wasn't a US problem. It was a worldwide problem. So that put things in perspective where everyone was going to struggle. And like any animal in the world, when you're up against a wall, you got to fight to get out. When you're backed into a corner, you go all in. So the first thing I did was text my entire team and say, we're getting on a Zoom call. Like, let's just get on and talk this out. And I remember ending that meeting saying, guys, we're going to come out as stronger than we went into it. And I told them, I said, I don't know what that means, but we are going to. And we went from being pretty good at e-commerce to building a whole new online platform. We focused on the back stuff like the marketing, a lot of the social media things that we were good at, but now we need to be amazing at. So it helped us be good at that. And then during that whole time, I was actually doing a bunch of charity at La Fonda Boricua on 106th and 3rd. My boy James Gonzalez got me involved. So I was doing charity, building Yave, and we had just signed some deals with major distributors. And July was the first month they allowed any distributors to work with people. Suppliers to work with the distributor. Because for a few months, they just stopped everything. You couldn't go out and sell. You had to stay away from people. And I remember the owner, the main guy saying, hey, you said you'd work with our salesmen. You still want to do it? And I was like, of course I do. Like, I've been dying to sell. I've been home for months and I've been doing charity, but I want to sell. And he said, there's a caveat. You can't get in the car with them. So I had to drive all through New Jersey. And I'm talking about I had 3 hours to Southern Jersey. I was out west, east, everywhere. I would drive to go meet them anywhere between an hour to 2.5 hours. Say, hey, what's up? How you doing? Get in my car and then follow them around all day. Then go into accounts and sell. I did that for 20 straight days in July. And the beauty of it, the reason why it helped us so much, because no other supplier, zero, double zero. I'm hitting with double. Not one supplier was in the streets with me. And every time I went to a store, every time I had a salesman, they were like, I can't believe you're out. Everyone said, no, they don't want to do it. And I was like, everybody doesn't come from the struggle I come from. And this isn't their brands. They work for somebody who reports to somebody who reports to somebody else. This is my baby. This is how I create my legacy for my son and I. And that month helped us get to another level. And then it became known within the industry because it's small that Joe Cruz would go work, even though I'm the founder. And all of a sudden, every time we hit a market, they would like go work with my guys. And I was out more than I was in the entire time during COVID. But during that, I don't know, about 5-6 month period, you're talking about 3 to 4 days a week, I was out selling with salesmen. And there was no other suppliers. I'm telling you, I went to stores, they were like, I haven't seen a guy in months. And I'm like, I'm not a guy. I'm the guy. I'm here to build my brand. Like, how can we do this together? And people just kept responding to it. And it helped us get to another level, which I'm glad. COVID sucked because so many people passed away, so many bad things happened. But in the moment, I couldn't worry about that. I had to worry about my son, my family, myself, my team, the people that believed in me, and just go. And it put us in a different level. It really, really did.
Yeah. So like one of two things. I know you have one of the first mixed tequilas, mango tequila.
Well, all natural mango tequila.
All natural mango tequila. And the reason you did it is because of your grandma.
Yeah, 100%.
And you want to talk about that story?
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is in Latino culture. Your grandmother's one of your mothers, pretty much. My grandmother was the toughest person I knew. She was always the type that had my back, but would slap me and beat me when I got home, like a grandmother. Like, if you did something wrong in school, she's going to hit you and tell everybody, you don't touch him. That's my grandson. She was that person. She had multiple sclerosis for about 10 years. She got extremely ill to the point that she started getting Alzheimer's and all kind of different symptoms. And the only two people she remembered was me and my dad. There was nobody else. Like, she lived with my mom, and she was like, every once in a while, like, what are you doing? Like, why do you have me here? Where's my grandson? So when she passed away, I was actually relieved because she was suffering for a few years. And everyone in my family said, oh, you're cold. She loved you the most. And I'm like, yeah, but that's why I'm happy. Like, people didn't get it. So, of course, creating Yave, I did the Blanco. I wanted to create something smooth, easy to drink, no burn. Everyone's tried it. I mean, I'm going to show off medals. Yeah. Medals for the Blanc. medals for the mango, medals for the jalapeno. Some people rock chains in the hood. I'm gonna start wearing these in the hood. Yeah. Different kind of showing off. But when she passed, I knew I was gonna do a Blanco smooth. I knew that. The Reposado, of course, aged 8 months in the barrel. Añejo aged 18 months in the barrel. But I wanted to do something different. I always knew I wanted to do flavors because flavors are growing in whiskey. Flavors are huge in vodka and rum, of course. Tequila had a small amount, but nobody took the bull by the horns. So let me be the first. The first one I created was actually coconut for my mother. Single mom raised me, so I made it for her. Jalapeno was for my dad. He used to cook with spicy things growing up. And mango was the easiest one because it was for my grandmother, for mi abuela. And I never thought about the fact that I made the world's first mango. I'll be honest with you. I never sat there and said, yeah, I'm gonna be a creator. I just went for it. I did it from the heart and it worked out. And then all of a sudden I'm at the Puerto Rican festival, the parades, people giving me awards and first mango and first Latino to make a tequila. And again, I never thought about any of this. I followed my heart and it just kept working out. Then I was doing different shows and people were like, how's it feel to be the first Puerto Rican to make a tequila? And I was like, I guess I'm the most Mexican Puerto Rican or the most Puerto Rican Mexican. I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to build this thing. So the mango meant a lot because it was for Abuela. And then we got the Innovation Award about a month ago, which for people who don't know the liquor industry, they only give out a couple a year. It's somebody who changed the game in the capacity. So when I heard I got it, I was like, yeah, right. Like maybe somebody's messing with me, whatever. Emails came in. They were supposed to send us the award in like July. And I was like, they're BSing. This is fake. Then all of a sudden, I remember I don't have a lot of rough days. I remember I was exhausted. I come home. You know how it is. I'm dead tired. I'm like, whatever, man, like crazy day. So I come in, I have a box there. And I'm like, what is this? Like a bottle of Yave? It was the exact same shape. And I opened it up and it was the award. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, I just won the Innovation Award in liquor, which is like, I guess, most improved player in the NBA or like rookie of the year. I don't know, some major award that you're like, wow, like I got it. Like I'm the one that got it. And of course, because it was for her, it meant the world. And everybody knew like mango was kind of cool, but every month the sales go up and up and up and up. And there's more cases sold, more bars wanted, more restaurants. And it's amazing to say that there are tens of thousands, hundreds of, I don't know how many people that have bought Yave that I'll probably never meet, even though I wish I could meet everybody, but they appreciate the brand, the story. They're out there pushing like, the pride of the brand. And I think that's dope. Like that's beyond humbling to me.
That is dope. And one of the things that's dope, like, you're a marketing guy, you're sales. So you shifted, like, obviously, during COVID, more people, bars are struggling, restaurants are struggling. So now you got to get people to buy either online or at the liquor stores. Yeah. How did your sales go up, like a percentage wise? And how did that like shift for you?
Well, I mean, there's three things you can control. You can't control COVID. You can't control the weather. You can't control people's actions. I control how hard I work, how I treat people, and what I do with my time. So when all this happened, we just worked harder, which, like I said, I was out in stores almost every single day, just selling the brand, hand selling, like from account to account to account. We did marketing within the industry, which most people don't understand, like from the beverage media to all the trade marketing. We were extremely efficient with that. Every liquor store I walked into either had seen the brand or was going to see it when I left at some point because we made sure we target marketed them. Now we're doing a whole new cutting edge kind of marketing, which is pretty much geotagging consumers. So we know how to geotag areas and kind of market the area. And most people don't even think about that. So we're doing things that I knew were pretty cool, but the more we speak to distributors, the more I speak to other people in the game, they're like, what do you mean you're doing this and that? Like, you're a small brand. And I'm like, well, we work hard. We're working with the right people. We have the right partnerships around us that I'll never divulge because I don't want nobody to touch these guys. This is like my secret sauce times 10. Mm-hmm. So it came to that. And then, of course, it was owning the brand, like the brand marketing. And, of course, we say that we have the 3 S's, which is story, the story of how we started it, the story of the team, the story of the product, all those things. Smooth, because we're as smooth as it gets. All the awards and trophies are saying that. And sabores, which, of course, are our flavors. So we focus on those 3 things. And because we're the up-and-coming brand, we're dealing with a lot of up-and-coming people. So if you're on your way up, I mean, I tell people all the time, reach out to me. I might not hit you back right away, but I am going to hit you back. I'm always on my social media. I'm always on my phone. I'm always on my emails trying to catch up. And I haven't fully caught up yet. But I'll reach out to people that had reached out to me 2 months ago. And they're like, I didn't think you would reach out. And I'm like, I told you I would. I just need time and have to prioritize how I spend, who I reach out to. So It's a lot of different things, but I mean, the hard work was number one. Everybody on my team worked harder. Nobody on my team leaves anything for granted. We go all in. We understand that we have an opportunity to do something amazing, to be the next billion-dollar brand. And everybody on the team understands that it's on us. We're only obstacle. I don't care who comes out with what celebrity does what. Give us more time, and we'll do it without the whole celebrity BS. We're building because we have that heart.
So last year, you signed your first. You always had. You was with smaller distributors, and then last year you got to sign with the biggest distributor.
Yeah,
how did that come? How did that come about? And how did you negotiate it? And how happy were you when they finally came to you?
Well, the first pitch we did was my old home, Empire, where I worked for 10 years. I was there for 10 years, literally, and I went back there to work for 6 months. So when I went to meet John Devin, I mean, he's the guy who ran the whole company. He left recently, but I remember we were sitting there. Joe Lahane reaches out to him, and he's like, "We'd love to hear what you guys have." And Joe Lahane told him, like he always tells people, "No, we don't expect anything from you. Just give us a chance. Let Joe pitch. Let us do our thing. We go in." We did our whole presentation. We're talking. And when you're in the industry, you can always see people's numbers. I can't lie to a guy in the industry about my numbers. I can say I sold 20,000 cases. He'll be like, "Joe, you sold 3,000." Mm-hmm. So I never lie. So I told him what we sold, and he's like, "I know the numbers." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to go through our pitch." And when we finished, the best compliment I got, and this is the first pitch I ever did to a distributor. As much as I worked there, I knew the game. This is the first time I got to talk about my brand. It was two things he said that I was like, he gets it, and I'm glad that I did it my way. One, he was like, "I'm blown away. This is way more than I expected." He said, "I know the numbers. I know what you've done. I've seen the articles." Because at that time, I was like in AM New York, Metro, certain local magazines, newspapers. I've seen all that, and I love the story. But when you guys pitch it, it comes through. You understand the industry, obviously, because we're from the industry. And the second thing he said, he was like, "I'll always bet on the guy who bet on himself because he's going to do whatever it takes to succeed." He said, "I meet tons of brands that come in with millions and all this marketing dollars." He was like, "But they don't understand the game. They'll just throw money at the problem." He was like, "You didn't have money and you solved the problem. So what happens when you have more money? You're only going to go to the next level." So he got it. So that was humbling. Then the next one we did was all new to me because it was New Jersey, which is a franchise market, meaning when you sign with someone, you're kind of with them for life. It's a whole new thing. So it's a new world. I'm like, all right, we go pitch, we talk. In the middle of the pitch, Corey Bronstein, who runs Allied Beverage in New Jersey, he says, "Joe, you speak Spanish?" I was like, "Claro que sí, como que no puedo." And he was like, "I don't know what you said, but that was amazing." And I was like, "Why?" He said, "Because you don't know how many times I sit in this room, a bunch of white guys with other white guys talking about a Spanish brand." He says, "Refreshing that I have a guy that comes from your world that I could send to Newark, to Trenton, to the hoods, and I can send you to the Latino accounts, and you're going to be comfortable." He's like, "I can send you to the top tier accounts where, it's normally where they spend the big bucks, but you'll be able to talk your way in with your heart." And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "This brand's going to take it to the top." And in that first month, we got 300 accounts, sold like 400 or 500 cases. It was crazy. It was like you could feel the ground shaking beneath us. And even as COVID was going up and down, we just kept having mini spikes. We took hits here and there, but I mean, I'm talking about jabs. We didn't have any knockout punches, no crosses. It was like okay, we're still here. And the more I met people as I went to different markets, now I'm doing Zoom calls. So now we just added Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. We have Colorado. It's Zoom calls. And they're all like, "I can't wait till you can come out here." And I'm like, "Well, I'm coming. I'll be there. I'll drive wherever the hell I have to." Colorado can't go to yet. I don't want to fly yet. But I'm driving to Massachusetts in 2 weeks. I'm going up to Rhode Island. Whatever it takes, man. Like that's the best 3 words I can give you. Whatever it takes. No excuses here.
So I was going to say, so the overall, what's the 1-year goal for Yave at the end of the year, and then the 5-year goal?
Oh, perfect. 1 year, at the end of this year, we'll dominate the Northeast, meaning the markets that we control right now. We don't want to expand too much. I want to control places we can drive to, because with the world changing up and down, you never know what's going to happen with flights. I want to be able to get somewhere if I have to. So that's the main goal for year 1. I want to get at least, at an absolute minimum, and this is the minimum, I want to get at least 100 million impressions. We reached a few million at the end of the year, but with this new marketing we're doing, I feel like we could do over 100 million impressions. And I want to get more social media influencers involved, like genuinely, not people I'm going to pay. And I've met a lot of people that are like, "Dude, I want in just to support you." So I want to build that awareness. And I want to I don't like to say the numbers often, but we're going to at least triple what we did last year. Like that's the goals for 1 year. Within 5 years, I plan on being nationwide. I do plan to have a national distribution, and I want to have at least 2 overseas markets. One of them being Puerto Rico, because even though it's U.S., it still counts because logistically it's overseas. It'll be there, maybe South America, Central America.
Puerto Rico this year.
Huh?
I want you to go to Puerto Rico by the end of this year. I want you to be in Puerto Rico.
I've started combos, so that happens. It happens. I haven't forced, but I had some government officials reach out to me. A lady, Betty, amazing woman. I met through a friend, James Gonzalez from La Fonda. She came to New York and she's like, "Hey, I heard about Yave, heard your story. Would love to help you." She runs New York State business between New York State and Puerto Rico, so she helps channel things. And I told her, I spoke to some people and they were kind of funny with me. It was weird because it was Latino talking to Latino and it wasn't the support. Just like when I launched in Harlem, I didn't get a lot of support in Harlem. And now all of a sudden Harlem loves me, which I'll take it. But it was weird to speak to other Puerto Ricans looking at me like, "What do you mean you made this?" Like literally, they'd be like, "What do you mean you did this? How?" And they couldn't, not that they didn't, they couldn't believe it. They didn't want to believe it. It was almost, "Oh, he's lucky." And it's like, you don't know what I put into this, man. So when I spoke to her, she reached out to the same people and they were like, "He's done a lot since we last spoke." So it's possible, but I can only control what I control. And I can control here right now, which is dope.
Like I say, like one of the things I've always respected about you and I look up to you is that your energy is always the same. I've never seen you angry. I'm sure you've been angry before, but I've never seen it. So, but I think what keeps you positive and your energy high? Like, do you read books? Do you meditate? Like, what do you do to always keep like, you're always smiling every time I see you?
I mean, number one is I have a son. So a lot of people like to tell their kids, I like to show my kid. My son watches me. He sees me on a daily basis. He knows the story of Yave. He knows the struggles I grew up on. And when you grew up the way that we did, the way that I did, you've gone through so many bad things that you understand where you came from. Like you've been through the mud. You got out the mud. It could be way worse. I'm big on that. I'm always saying it could be worse. People are like, "Oh my God, I'm losing 2 of my teeth. I need a root canal." I'm like, it could be worse. How? You could lose all your teeth. I don't tell you. Like it could be way worse. And at the same time, I mean, I woke up today. My family's healthy. I haven't been sick. I haven't been fatally wounded at any point. I grew up in a world where everyone's in jail or dead. I don't have those problems. I'm being honest. And I mean, life is great. Perspective. Over 500,000 people are going to die from COVID in this country by the time it's done, at least. I'm not one of them. I don't have close friends and family that are one of them. I didn't suffer any major setbacks while creating Yave. I took little, like I said, jabs here and there, but I just kept pushing. I can't explain it, man. My energy is always going to be there because I'm here. Like, I don't know. It really is that simple for me. It sounds too simplified, but once you get up in the morning, your feet hit the floor. That's more than most people can say.
And the last question is, can you tell people the power of you can do anything?
Oh, man. The only obstacle is you. I say this all the time. Nobody cares about your excuses. My favorite movie is A Bronx Tale. My favorite line is "Nobody cares." And the reason it's so important to put in perspective into you got to do whatever it takes is that, let's say right now my landlord knocks on my door. He's like, "Joe, I need an extra $1,000 this month. I'm going to throw you out. You got 3 days to pay it." I call all my friends. I'm like, "Hey, man, I need an extra $1,000. I'll pay you back." And one of my friends is like, "Yo, I got you, bro. Don't even worry about it." 3 days comes, I call my boy, and I'm like, "Hey, man, I need that $1,000. He doesn't pick up the phone, or he picks up and says, "My girl said I can't give it to you," or he just says, "Hey, I lied. I don't got it." Now my landlord knocks on my door, and he's like, "Hey, man, I need that $1,000. And I'll be like, "Oh, man, I called my friend. He said he had it. He was going to take care of me." My landlord's going to say, "Damn, man, that sucks. You and your son got to go." That's how I look at life. Nobody cares. You could have all the excuses in the world, but at the end of the day, you got to take care of yourself, your family, pay your bills. And I'm all about accountability. The first rule as a leader is everything is your fault. And people that don't understand that will never succeed. Everything that's happened in this company is my fault. If I put another guy in charge of something, I put him there. I allowed him to fail. I allowed him to screw it up. And that's why certain people aren't with Yave anymore. It's not a personal thing. It has nothing to do with that. It's about the fact that a bunch of people trust me and believe in me, and I have to make the right decision for everybody. It's not just me. I try to carry myself like I tell my team, carry yourself like I'm running for president, and I'll do the same thing. Everything you do could affect the brand. It could affect me. Everything I do could affect your lives. So it's a lot of things that are there, but it's not pressure. I don't feel stressed about it. It's just having your life in perspective. Like, I'm a very, 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 very fortunate dude in the fact that, like I said, I'm healthy. I'm young enough to build a brand. I have good people around me. I have an amazing team. And I mean, Yave tastes amazing. Like, I'm winning. Like,
and honestly, the main thing is you have good people around you. The importance of having good people around you is what for you?
It's literally everything. Like, if I was as positive as I am and I bring this energy and everybody around me was negative, or people talk about social media, or people talking about reality TV, What am I doing? Like, how am I going to advance? I can't have people around me that are soul suckers, those energy vampires. And people were like, oh, yeah, I know you're doing good, but did I tell you about all the bad things in my life? No, I'm not going to listen. People noticed that before COVID, everybody came to my house. My house was the office for a long time. It still is, technically. People come to my house, and I don't mind people telling me their problems so we could talk about it. But it depends how you speak about it. If you walk in with, if 10 of us get together and we're all going to have drinks and just talk about life and hang out on my balcony, which is precious to me. When friends come over, we just drink and yave. That's as amazing as it gets because it's something we created and we keep, building upon. But if we're talking about positive things and you like, yeah, man, like, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think we could do this. I'm like, I don't think I can hang with you. It'll be that fast. It's not going to take long. I'm going to go negative for a second to bring it back positive. And you're going to look at me either like I'm crazy or like he's not playing. So you can go or you can adapt. So it's all about that energy, man. And again, intent, integrity, trust, transparency, over communication. You have those things, you don't have to worry about much when it comes to the actual team. And I have an abundance of that right now. I have enough that I could give some to other people and they could be successful. Like we have an abundance in our company right now.
Oh, that's dope. So where can people buy Yave? Where can they look up for Yave? Just put it out there.
YaveTequila.com. We made it easy. And of course, Yave means key in Spanish, but I spelled it phonetically so the whole world can say it. And Ya tu llave, ya tu ve, ya tu sabe, all them plays on words. At Yave Tequila, at Yave Tequila on Instagram, Facebook, and we'll soon be shipping to around 30 states. Another week or two, we'll be shipping most of the country, as well as being in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, upstate, out in Colorado. We ship in Florida and California. So it's building, man. It's
how many stores are you in New York?
Damn. A couple hundred. I don't know. In Jersey, we're in around 400. New York, a couple hundred. Upstate, another couple hundred. Crazy to say, we're in almost 1,000 accounts, if not over already. Wow. Yeah.
You ever say to yourself, like, you just like, I mean, you're not done, but you're like, you know what? This is not too bad.
Yeah, I've allowed myself because the people around me do it more than I do. Like I was on a couple of Cranes recently. I've been on Forbes a couple times. Hot 97 working with them big time. DJ Enough, shout out to him, showing us mad love. But I appreciate it more now. Before it was just like next. It was like checking off boxes. Now I live in the moment a lot more. I'm still in the future, but I try to enjoy the moment because all the money's gonna come. The money's been coming in. That's cool. But at the end of the day, we're all chasing smiles on our faces and happiness. So you got to enjoy the journey. Like that's one of a couple things of advice I tell people. There's never a perfect time, and enjoy the journey. Like because it's always a reason not to do something. People, oh, my girl left me. My money's not right. I went through all that, and nobody cares. I got a son. That's all that matters. My son in the back room of my apartment right now, playing his video games, screaming at his friends. Me building what I built allowed him to do that and have a good time while he's in school.
Yeah, so we'll stay on when we get off. But one of the last things I definitely want to say is like, every time I've called you, you've always come through for me. You always come through for Hard to Guard when we needed to do a collaboration. And, I've always appreciated, Yave and putting it out there and letting people know. I don't even drink, and I've definitely bought a bottle before. I bought a couple of bottles from the liquor store just because.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Sharice would drink it for me. But I just want to say, I'm proud of you. And just buy Yave, people. Support.
And they won't be disappointed. It's not I create a BS product because it could be the best story, the best package, but it tastes like shit. Nobody cares. I wanted to make sure that people could enjoy it. And it wasn't a favor. Like, oh, he's Puerto Rican. I gotta support him. I wanted people to enjoy it and brag about it. Like, yeah, I know this guy. And he made an amazing tequila. That was very important for me. Very important.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate you coming on.
Nah, definitely, bro. Have a great one, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right.